If it isn't going to make it, maybe I should have him call him.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill? It's starting to look like Richards. It's starting to look like Richards isn't going to make it. Do you want to join us up here? Yeah.
They live in Township. Yeah, 27 years worth of. So I moved up here for my PhD
Yeah.
And we've lived in Lansing, East Lansing.
Yeah, she keeps bringing back the church. Yeah.
Well, kids.
Don't we have a master plan?
Individual.
Item on the agenda? No.
That's not good. We're all. Yeah, we're not ready.
One? 2 plus? 3, I think.
All right. It is now 6:30, the new starting time for the Planning Commission of Meridian Township. As chair, I call this meeting to order. We'll start with roll call, and this should be interesting because we have 3 new members who have joined the commission as of tonight. Commissioner Tresize.
Present.
Commissioner Shrewsbury.
Present.
Commissioner McConnell.
Present.
Commissioner McCurtis.
Present.
Welcome, sir. Commissioner Commissioner Scales.
Present.
Also a new member, welcome. All right, this is your second time around though, isn't it? All right. And Commissioner Brooks.
Present.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Snyder.
Present.
And it appears that Commissioner Richards is not yet present. So we have a quorum. We shall proceed. First of all, we have a public remarks section. Now we have a notice from Ms. Kramer that you wish to address an issue dealing with the master plan. Since that is not a specific item of tonight's agenda, I'm just going to invite you to make your statement during the opening public remarks section, if you wish to join us from the sure. Oh, there he is.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Kramer, resident 4560 Oakwood here in Okemos, and I'm a member of Faith Lutheran Church, which is on Dobie Road. This is an opportunity with the new members on the board to just introduce ourselves. And I have with me Mike Eschelbach, and he is the new president-elect of our board at the church. The reason that we are interested in and in this case it's the master plan, is that our church has a request for a density change to the property at 4515 Dobie Road, which is the church property, Faith Lutheran. I think you may know of that location. We would need to request that during the course of your master plan review, that you look at the density there and see if it would be possible to adjust that density to be more in line with some of the surrounding properties. There's properties to the north that are multi-family residential. There's and on the across the road on Dobie Road, and of course it's the church property all the way to the south there. We are looking for some assistance in adjusting that density and hope you will consider this during the course of your review of the master plan. I am available around the building quite a lot lately with doing some part-time work here. But if you have questions, please feel free to reach out, and I would be happy to talk to you about our interests in the master plan. That's all we have. Thank you
very much, ma'am. Any comments or questions from, yes, sir?
One question, Ms. Kramer.
During master.
The record should reflect the question is from the new Commissioner Scales. Go ahead.
You want us to look at the density. Did you
want us to look at it going up or going down?
I'm sorry, you have to, a little bit loud.
I'm sorry, my question is, did you want us to look at increasing or decreasing the density?
Making it more dense.
Okay.
Right now, it's, in the zoning world, it's like RAA.
Okay. Thank you.
But we wanted to match more with the commercial properties to the north, the R3 or C3?
Not off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
C3-ish. So, any other,
No? Thank you very much.
okay, thank you very much.
Are there any other persons present who wish to make an address to the commission? No. Very good, thank you. All right, then we are into item number 4, approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Approval.
Moved by Commissioner Trissette, a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Snyder. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. The agenda is approved. Next, item number 5, approval of the minutes from the January 9 meeting of the commission. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner McConnell. Is there a-
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Tresize.
I did
Any
have
discuss- oh, go
two
ahead.
quick typos, one at the top of page 3 and extra O on 2, and the other missing wood on page 5. I signaled to staff.
Very good. Any other comments before we call for a vote on the approval of the minutes? No, very good. All in favor of approving the minutes from the January 9 meeting of this committee, say aye.
Aye.
There is no opposition. Again, the minutes are approved. Communications, there are none. Public hearings, staff has listed none. So we will move into item number 8, unfinished business.
Good evening. For those of you who we have not met yet, my name is Brian Shorkey. I'm the senior planner on staff, and one of the people that communicates with you the most. You probably received the packet from me earlier. That's, if you recognize my name, that's where it came from. Regarding the rezoning number 23001 for MW6 LLC on Lake Court, the public hearing for that was 2 weeks ago. There were no public comments. There was a desire from the Planning Commission to see what the concept plan was and what the kind of a sketch design of the buildings. Those have been provided. I'm here to answer any questions you have. The applicant's here to answer any last minute questions you have. Otherwise, we have provided a resolution of approval. As you indicated with your straw poll, that's the direction you'd like to go.
Any, Commissioner?
Yes, I do have a question. I was trying to understand the plot, like the plot of land where it is. And when I looked at it, I drove by and everything, it looks like it's by the only way to describe it is by the ice cream place, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So is the abandoned land or vacant spot behind the ice cream
That is correct.
store? Okay,
The vacant store in the front is not part of this application.
okay. That was my next question. Then what happens with that? Or
That's still zone C1, I think. What's up there? Well, it's C1. Thank you. Getting older. Yeah, that still remains zone C1.
Can we turn these on, or do we have to
It's like
turn
one of
them
those old erasers, you lift up, click it.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Hold it long enough, it'll turn on. And that
That's right.
toggles
There you
for
go.
functions.
That makes it easier.
That's helpful, thanks.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 101.
Okay, good. And so right behind there, because I saw there were parking spaces, that's where that vacant spot is, where those kind of parking spaces are? Got it. Okay.
Commissioner McConnell?
Oh,
If I could, partly linked to that question, I think last time when we discussed this, we got to hear a little bit of the history of the, we have in the memo, the rezoning, the collation of the lots, but the sort of prior history and what kind of residences were there and what those having been demolished, what they'll effectively be replaced by. And maybe if the applicants wanted to give us a brief background on it, the history-wise, I would find that helpful for, if I were a new commissioner.
Since we have 3 new commissioners, if you don't mind.
Gentlemen, I'll ask you to identify yourselves again for the record, please, and tell us your address.
Absolutely. My name is Dominic Lee. This is my partner, Scott Wheaton. Address 2419 Science Parkway. So the previous buildings that were on that, there was 5 homes, 3 of which were vacant. They were basically uninhabitable, mold throughout them. And then 2 of them, actually reversed. 2 of them were vacant, 3 of them were occupied. One of them was occupied by the current owner, the previous owner's family, and then the other ones were just occupied by common tenants. They were all in horrendous shape, honestly. One of the roofs was caving in. Like I said, there was mold littered throughout all of them. When we purchased the property, we didn't know if we were going to actually just renovate those buildings and try to keep them for a bit while we figured out this plan. Once we went through all of them, we were like, these buildings need to be torn down. They're absolutely disastrous. Most of them weren't even on foundation. You could look through the floor and see dirt. So the buildings were in very, very rough shape.
Yeah, we were actually told at one point that they may have been military barracks that were brought there.
Yeah.
Very small units, but our idea now going forward is to construct 6 duplexes on the land, which would result in 12 units. Obviously bringing a better look to that site than there was prior to this, and bringing some more people to downtown, as we've talked about the last meeting. Obviously, it's a very walkable location with a lot of things to do, so it'd be nice to have some nice residences downtown for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding that? Yes, sir.
I read through this material. I'm new.
Absolutely.
So excuse my ignorance, but I might have a few questions.
Yeah.
I read through this material, and there were some discussions about what the previous rent was and what the new rent will be. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
What are the people that live there now paying, and what will it cost someone new coming in?
Yeah, so in all honesty, the previous rents were all over the place, but they averaged out to be about $350, $400, and that's if the previous owner collected. He mentioned us, he hasn't collected in months on a few of the buildings. He was an elderly man, and that's why he was selling the properties. They were getting away from him, obviously, as far as maintenance, and then also he just was forgetting to collect rent half the time. One of the units, they weren't even charged rent. They were just like, hey, take care of the building and pay your utilities and it's fine. The other 2 tenants were working locally, and they actually still live locally. They were paying, one lady, I think she said she was paying $425 and the other one was $350 or somewhere around there. The rents that we're going for are going to be at a market rate. So we're going to examine the market at that time. What are normal rentals in that area going for? Currently, right now, normal rentals are going for between $1,600 and $2,100. Sometimes we see it go up to $2,200, but those are usually a little bit higher end. And then obviously there's even rentals nearby that go even further than that. That's definitely not what we're going for. We don't want the rents to be any over $2,200 a unit. Our goal for that area is to make affordable living that the common, median wage in that area can afford, and something that's in line with what the market rents are in that area. And from our experience, because we are in the real estate business, that's what the common rents are in that area are currently.
So can I ask a follow-up to that?
Sure, certainly, go ahead.
So what happens to the people that live there now?
The people that did previously live there, they moved, they found room. We gave them a 3-month notice and just said, hey guys, we can't let you live here anymore. This is the plan for it. And then we also helped them find living elsewhere.
And as we mentioned, it wasn't exactly suitable living conditions prior to us purchasing the property anyways.
But the 2 tenants that were not family relation to the previous seller were on their way out anyway. They were all planning to move out because the living was pretty harsh.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Sir?
Just a couple of clarification questions for me. You said 6 duplexes, 12, did I get that right? 12?
Yep, 12 units.
Units?
Yes.
How many, when I looked at the artist rendering or it looked like 3 buildings. Is that what it is?
It's 3 front and 3 back, so is there any way we could get it on?
Yeah, sure, hold on.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Thank you. There you go. Maybe. Maybe.
I did tell it to rotate. It's not rotating. It is on the screen. I'm not able to to make it rotate, but that's looking at one side of the building, of the project.
So that's what's called a front elevation, and I want to be very clear about that. That is a very, very preliminary front elevation. Our architect threw that together. We're going to make a ton of changes to that because that's not exactly what we're going for, but we wanted to at least give you guys a visual. So those would only be 3 of the units, and then if you duplicate that and put it in the back of the
So
lot.
I think on this
off
one
of
you can
Lake
tell.
Court, yeah.
So on this one,
That's a
since
better
it's from the
visual.
top, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings. Each being a duplex.
Got it. And all 6 of those buildings would be right behind, again, I'm just trying to
Yes,
visualize.
the ice cream
I've got
shop.
an ice cream shop
Yep,
there.
ice cream shop is right here,
Okay.
And Lake Lansing Road is,
right here.
On that side.
And they have access from Marsh Road right onto,
Nope, or yeah, so Lake Court runs right here. And so they have access there, and then Lake Lansing Road brings access to this side, which would have the parking lot currently.
Correct.
thank you.
Commissioner Snyder.
At the previous meeting, we had raised concerns about Lake Court. I drove back there today. That was interesting. So I was just wondering, I don't know if this is a question for staff, if there are any updates on what's going to happen with that road.
The step following the rezoning will be either straight to site plan with several variances, or they're gonna go through the plan unit development process. Either way, at that point, I'm gonna have a site plan to review. The road department, Ingham County Road Department will review that site plan at that time. They do not comment on concept plans with rezonings. They'll look at Lake Court, and if improvements are necessary for this project, they'll require them.
Okay.
I would also point out, this rezoning actually allows for up to, I think, 34 units per acre. But the applicant has placed an exception on this, or a limitation to no more than 12 units. Under the current zoning and setback requirements, that will be difficult to accomplish. But they think they can get there, and with either a PUD or something like that. So we may see it back, but it's limiting the number of housing units to 12.
And I believe at the last meeting too, we confirmed that that limit would follow the,
Follow the
it would stay with the
zoning.
property
Yes.
regardless of ownership.
Any other questions? Commissioner Hancock.
since you've got that drawing up, I'm just curious. When I look at the units, I can see the main entries going into bedrooms on either side with a shared bathroom. And then behind the bathroom, it looks like there's a little hallway that connects the 2 bedrooms.
No, so that's actually going to be a utility closet. So it looks like a hallway now, but we left that as room. Am I correct?
Like as a walk-through closet.
It's
It had
hard for me
a
to see.
rectangle in it. I couldn't figure out what the rectangle was.
You talking about right here?
No, in between the dividing wall,
Yeah, it's the common wall.
the common wall.
In between the common wall, let's see.
There's a square and a circle next to it.
It's probably the furnace and water heater.
Right here.
Oh.
Yeah, that is a
Oh,
utility.
I see. So you'd service the furnace from one side and the water heater from the other.
Each got-
Correct.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, that's innovative. Oh, okay.
Good architects. I don't know.
So one roommate controls the furnace, the other, hot water.
Yeah, when they turn off the hot water, the other one turns off the heat.
No, those will obviously be locked doors, but it's a utility closet.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there,
I will make a motion to adopt a resolution to provide for the rezoning of the lot in question,
23-01?
2301 at 1642 Lake Court, to move it from its current RB one-family high-density residential to RCC multiple family residential, subject to a conditional rezoning of no more than 12 units on the lot.
Support.
Any further discussion before the vote? No? All in favor of
Now, roll
approving?
call.
Oh, that's right, roll call. With the new roll. Let's start at the bottom. Commissioner Richards. Oh, I'm sorry, the record should reflect that Commissioner Richards got here about a minute and a half after I finished calling the roll.
As soon as you make me take a seat.
Okay. Commissioner Snyder.
Support.
Commissioner Brooks.
Support.
Commissioner Scales.
Support.
Commissioner McCurtis.
Support.
Commissioner McConnell.
Support.
Commissioner Shrewsbury.
Support.
Vice Chair Tresize.
Support.
The chair supports. The motion is approved.
Thank you very much. We will take that on to the Township Board for final action.
Thank you. That is the end of item number 8. We are now on item number 9. And I'm going to take it slightly out of order to that which was proposed by the staff. I'm going to take 9B first. And Commissioner Scales has asked for special permission to make the presentation of that resolution. Commissioner Scales?
Thank you. At a regular meeting of the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan, held on the 23rd day of January at 6:30 p.m. local time. Present all members, absent none. The following resolution was offered by Commissioner Scales and supported by.
I'll support.
Thank you. Whereas Holly Cordial began serving the interests of Meridian Township in 2011 when she was appointed to the Township Planning Commission. And whereas during her 11-year tenure as Planning Commissioner, Holly has ably represented the interests of this Planning Commission and the citizens of Meridian Township, also serving as the Secretary of the Planning Commission and as the Executive Director of the Meridian Historical Village. And whereas Commissioner Cordell has worked tirelessly to advance and achieve the goals and objectives adopted by this commission, and the board selflessly contributing valuable focus, perspective, insight, and energy to our most challenging efforts and subsequent accomplishments using her background as a planner. And whereas on December 12, 2022, ended her tenure as Planning Commissioner on the Meridian Township Planning Commission, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan, wishes publicly to recognize, commend, and thank Holly Cordell for invaluable contributions to and impacts on the work of this commission and the quality of life in this community. This commission is grateful for your outstanding public service and wishes you well in your future pursuits. Be it further resolved that the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan, hereby adopts this tribute of appreciation to Planning Commissioner Holly Cordell as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner. There is a motion to approve this resolution. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
There is no opposition. The resolution is approved. So now we go back to the 9A, which is the resolution of thank you, of appreciation for Commissioner David Primo, who has also left the service of this commission. Is there anyone who wishes to read that into the record?
I can read it.
Commissioner Snyder, please.
At the regular meeting of the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan, held on the 23rd day of January at 6:30 p.m. local time, present all members, absent none. The following resolution was offered by Christina Snyder, do I say that? Thank you, and supported by? Thank you. Whereas David Primo began serving the interests of Meridian Township in 2016 when he was appointed to the Township Planning Commission, and whereas during his 6-year tenure as Planning Commissioner, David has ably represented the interests of this Planning Commission and the citizens of Meridian Township, serving as the Planning Commission Secretary and also serving on the Building Board of Appeals and the Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas Commissioner Primo has worked tirelessly to advance and achieve the goals and objectives adopted by this commission and the Township Board, selflessly contributing valuable focus, perspective, insight, and energy to our most challenging efforts and subsequent accomplishments, bringing his background in construction to the decision-making process, and whereas on December 12th, 2022, ended his term as Planning Commissioner on the Meridian Township Planning Commission, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan, wishes publicly to recognize, commend, and thank David Primo for invaluable contributions to and impacts on the work of this commission and the quality of life in this community. This commission is grateful for your outstanding public service and wishes you well in your future pursuits. Be it further resolved that the Township Planning Commission of the Charter Township of Meridian, Ingham County, Michigan hereby adopts this tribute of appreciation to Planning Commissioner David Primo as presented.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second to approve the resolution of appreciation for Commissioner David Primo. All in favor?
Aye.
There is no opposition. The resolution is approved. Which brings us to item 9C, election of officers.
You are required by bylaws to, at a minimum, have a chair and a secretary. It is also recommended that you have a vice chair in the event the chairperson is not able to serve. Now that we have a full board, we would recommend that you make those appointments.
These are by appointment, or?
The planning commission appoints among themselves, yes.
All right. Well, let's take it in order. Is there a nomination for chair? Commissioner?
I nominate Mark Bloomer for chair.
I second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations for chair? All right. Is there a nomination for vice chair?
We need to vote on the chair.
Oh, vote each one separately? Okay, I thought we'd do it as a slate. Okay. Any discussion of the nomination? There is no second nomination. So all in favor of appointing me to continue as chair, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We don't need a roll call vote, do we? I didn't.
No, sir.
The position of vice chair, did you tell me that you've reached a limit?
Yes, under the bylaws, I can serve as vice chair for 2 years, absent a waiver of the bylaws by the commission. And so it should be an appointment of someone else as vice chair.
Commissioner?
Is there anybody here that wants to serve in that role? And I move that we waive the bylaws.
All right. Now that does take a roll call.
It does take a roll call on a 2/3 vote.
I support the motion.
If we waive the bylaws, will you be willing to accept
I
a
will,
continuation?
yes.
All right, so we're not wasting our time then. All right. Is there any discussion on the waiver of the bylaws motion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Oh, roll call.
I'm sure roll call
It
for
hasn't
that.
been moved.
I thought it was.
Commissioner Scales moved. I second.
You say, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to take it in order of this. Chair Bloomer votes to approve the waiver. Commissioner Tresize.
Yes.
Commissioner Shrewsbury.
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell.
Yes.
Commissioner McCurtis.
Support?
Commissioner Scales.
Support.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Support.
And Commissioner Richards. All right, so the bylaws have been waived with respect to the term limit on the vice chair. Now, are there any nominations for the vice chair? The chair moves to nominate Vice Chair Tresize.
Support.
Any further nominations? All those in favor of retaining Commissioner Tresize, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, secretary, it was Commissioner Primo, wasn't it?
It's Commissioner Primo, yes.
All right, so we need a new secretary. Is there a nomination for secretary of the commission?
if I can sell you on this, your name will get to be in special print on the master plan.
Can I just get some clarity on the roles and responsibility of the secretary?
You are the official signer of any documentation we send out. So when we send out the notice of review, Commissioner Primo, for the master plan, Commissioner Primo signed it. When we have a draft and we go into the final review period, the new secretary's name will be on that in name of the planning commission.
Thank you.
Nominate Commissioner Snyder.
She didn't duck fast enough.
Does that have to happen in person or are electronic signatures?
No, it will need to happen in person. We do need to have an
So it's not
official
trivial, it's
copy.
kind of good.
Yeah, we have to have an official copy.
Are there any other nominations for this group? Very good.
I mean, do you want to do it?
I would accept that, yes.
She didn't leave the room quickly enough. All right, no other nominations? Then all those in favor of Commissioner Snyder being the next secretary, say aye.
Aye.
There is no opposition. Any other positions?
That is it, sir.
That's it. Okay, very good. All right, so we are now then on Planning Commission liaison assignments.
So you have a total of 7 assignments that the planning commission makes to the boards and commissions. The most important one is the ZBA, because that is actually a voting member of the ZBA. The ZBA meets once a month at max, hearing appeals of either denials, administrative denials that we've made of the zoning ordinance, or of denials the planning commission has made. The other roles are as follows: the Corridor Improvement Authority, which works on issues related to Grand River Avenue largely. The Downtown Development Authority, which works on issues related to downtown Okemos. The Environmental Commission, which works on issues related to our environmental rules and regulations and ordinances and things we are trying to do from an environmental stewardship perspective in the township. The Economic Development Corporation, which has a role with respect to economic development, attraction, and incentives with the township. Transportation Commission, which works on all things transportation, but I will say has been more focused on non-motorized transportation in recent years. And the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, which focuses on rehabilitation of previously contaminated in some way sites. That, I would say, is the most technical of them, because you are going to get a lot of numbers and technical detail on that one.
That is also a voting position.
That is also a voting position. So the voting positions right now, in theory, are the ZBA and the BRA. Environmental Commission does have some money in the budget, so in theory, that could involve a vote if something came up.
Commissioner Scales?
Do we have a list of dates and times that they meet, these various committees? Because that,
Yeah, actually, you know what?
I can tell you, the Downtown Development Authority meets in the dark.
As does the economic development.
This time of year, everybody meets in the dark, unfortunately.
Last month,
It was in the packet for last
2
month's meeting.
seconds.
or last week, yeah.
Our last meeting.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. I have spent the last year as a representative to the Downtown Development Authority. I'm willing to continue that.
I have recently been appointed to the Brownfield. I'm willing to continue that if that's the desire of the commission.
I serve on the Environmental Commission, so that's kind of done, but anybody's welcome to join in.
So can we have some,
I'd be interested
So-
in the EDC.
are three, like, is there expectation that one person from the commission is on each of these boards?
I would say yes with respect to specifically the ZBA and the BRA. The remaining ones, there's a slot held for a planning commission member, and to various extents, they've been used in the past. But the ZBA and the BRA are definite requirements that we get a planning commissioner.
The others, you essentially watch the meeting, may report on what is going on at the planning commission, but you're not a participant and a member of the commission itself, of the board itself. So you can offer input, but you don't vote.
Yeah, basically your spy. You tell them what we've been doing, and then you bring back to us significant developments of the board that you've been observing.
Okay.
It is interesting to learn what's going on throughout the district, or out throughout the township, at various lords.
So so the hope then is that we would so that there would be some representation on each of these units so that they could bring back information, so the planning commission can be aware of what's going on.
Yes.
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
Now, the chair might entertain a motion to delay the vote on these so that the newer members in particular can get more familiarity with the list.
Absolutely, to the extent that this is the planning commission's decision, I just know that I need a ZBA member before the third week of February. So we can delay it one more time, but I definitely need a decision on the ZBA, specifically the first meeting of February.
Commissioner Scales has indicated he would like to be on the EDC, which I've served on. And I'm willing to allow you to do so early in the morning.
That's mighty kind of you.
And if it's necessary, or if nobody else is interested, I would also be willing to serve as the ZBA rep.
Okay.
One in the morning, one at night. They don't meet that often.
They don't meet that regularly.
They do not. They meet at most once a month. Almost all of they're all once a month. BRA is actually the most, frankly, irregular because it's based on projects.
Transportation Commission's every other month.
It's every other month. That's
Do you
right.
happen to know if the DDA has solved its quorum?
I do not, but I will follow up. I will follow up with that information and any other questions you guys have for the next meeting, and we can make these official.
Yeah, I'm going to ask staff to republish the list of available seats,
Absolutely.
including those that require a member.
Absolutely.
Very good. Yes.
If it's appropriate, I would like to nominate Commissioner Trezise for the ZBA, since that's the most critical decision that has to be made of this entire list.
You sure you want to do that? Yeah.
Sure.
Commissioner Trezise agrees with that. I would second that motion.
Okay.
Does that require?
It should require a vote on that one because it's a place.
Yes, it is. I do need a vote on that one.
All right. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it sounds as if we have volunteers for everything except the CIA Corridor Improvement Authority that Commissioner Cordell is serving on.
Oh.
I have always declined these because there've been other willing members and my work schedule doesn't really make it feasible. So, I mean, if everybody's okay, if either of our two new members want that one, I'm not going to stand, or if anybody does, but we may be able to just do this tonight unless you think that get it all done and have.
Is CIA the only one that's available?
I was actually going to similarly put out there, Transportation Commission. I mean, being that there's 7 boards and 9 members here, it's similarly, it's hard for me with my work. It's very hard. So I do appreciate what I learn in those meetings. So I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to shirk responsibilities, but if someone is interested in, Transportation Commission meetings, you know.
I am interested in transportation.
Very good. So which one is left then?
CIA.
CIA. Anybody interested in that?
I believe the CIA is also having a quorum. Is that the one you're talking about?
The DDA has been having a lot.
I will also say the CIA is going to get a whole lot more interesting this year because they might end up with money all of a sudden.
Yeah. It needs help.
I'm actually really interested in the CIA, so.
I think that takes care of our issue then.
There we go. We will follow up with it in the next packet. We'll make sure to have the
There's still a
information in
pending
there.
motion though.
Yes, please. I apologize.
Could we amend the motion to be that slate?
We could,
Absolutely. We have it. And we
Would you
will.
accept that as a friendly amendment?
As the maker of the motion, yes.
all right. All those, well, no, I'll take them one at a time. The chair votes yes. Vice Chair Trezise?
Yes.
Commissioner Shrewsbury?
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell?
Yes.
Commissioner McCurtis?
Yes.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Richards? Very good. That slate is approved.
Thank you. We will, you'll start seeing emails from various staff members. We'll make sure to relay also to Leroy that Commissioner McConnell is still in environmental and we'll get Economic Development Director Clark in contact with Mr. Brooks and Mr. Scales.
I do have a question.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, where do they meet in different places, or is here?
That's an excellent question. Generally, we have been meeting in this room, for all of these now.
Transportation meets here.
Yeah, we moved
used to be at the fire station,
Yeah, we
but now
moved
they're-
transportation back. That was the one I was trying to remember real quick.
Commissioner?
And just looking at this list and the time and date of the first meeting of the EDC, I do have a conflict, but I will make the rest up for the record.
All right, then. Any further comments on that issue? No. All right, then. Item number 10 of the agenda, master plan update. There appears to be none.
No, and I was just going to say, it looks like one of our two next agendas, what we will do is we will sort of have it as a work session to hash out some goals and objectives with the board. We've got a fair bit of feedback that we've provided along the way. Staff is starting to put that into actual language, and so we will start to have those conversations in February, and still on track roughly to get this thing done the first half of the year.
Very good, thank you. So we are now on item 11 of the agenda, Township Board update.
The Township Board most recently appointed 3 members to the Planning Commission, as you see this evening. They also did approve the daycare definitions change that the Planning Commission had previously recommended to them. And there was a third item that I am quickly pulling up because I can't remember. It was the sign ordinance. Initial discussion is up for discussion tomorrow night. So hopefully that long process is almost to a completion.
Commissioner Chasais.
Could you send a copy of the sign ordinance to the EDC? They were they asked questions about what was in it at our last meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so liaison reports. Any liaison reports? The DDA was, again, did not meet. So, Commissioner Snyder.
The Transportation Commission met last week, and just a couple of notable items of note. The township received honorable mention for the bicycle-friendly application, and it came with a lot of different feedback that would inform us if we wanted to improve bicycling in the township. I thought it was interesting that Spin Scooters, the company, that supplies those in East Lansing, is looking to move westward into the township a bit. So that's I find that just interesting. And then Director Opsummer gave so much of a detailed report on various project updates. I feel like I don't know how he houses so much information inside his brain, truly. But more construction's coming on Okemos Road over by the CN Railroad Bridge, and that'll be April through July. Let's see. I guess something else of note, the MSU to Lake Lansing pathway, that the first phase of it, which we've discussed within Planning Commission, but the first phase should be complete by October of 2023. So moving pretty quickly.
And actually, I got an update on that. They were hoping to actually have both phases done by October 2023. Phase 2 appears to be slightly easier on the engineering than they expected. So they're putting them both out to bid.
Any other liaison reports? All right, project updates?
We had nothing to report this month, so we'll get you an update next month because we do have a couple of new things floating around.
And the record should reflect that there are no further members of the public here for public remarks. Is there any general commentary from any of the commissioners? I would ask that the new commissioners introduce themselves. Just tell us your name, where are you?
Or to the public?
Yeah, sure.
I'll start. My name is James McCurtis Jr. I've been in Meridian Township resident. I've been a resident here for a little more than 20 years now. I came to this area as a reporter Lansing State Journal years and years ago and moved into state government. And now I am a communications consultant for Mesa, which is right in East Lansing. And have 3 boys and wife. I don't know what else.
Very good. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Brandon Brooks. I moved to this community from Ohio in 2010 and have lived all over the Lansing area. And then my wife and I decided that we wanted to raise a family, and so we moved to Okemos and bought our first house in the Ottawa Hills neighborhood in 2017. And I'm a data scientist at a company called Advanisher, and I work remotely, so I'm at my house a lot. Looking to do stuff in the community.
And Commissioner Scales.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very pleased to be here and be a member of this commission. I look forward to it. I'm a retired state employee. I served as the Director of Criminal Investigations for the Department of Environmental Quality. I was chief there for 15 years. Began my law enforcement career as a Detroit police officer, then a conservation officer, and then the previous position that I retired from. After that, I taught at Saginaw Valley State University, taught political science there. I was appointed as a planning commissioner in 2011 for Meridian Township. I was appointed as a road commissioner for Meridian Township, for Ingham County. Then I was elected to the township board here at Meridian Township in 2012. I served 4 years on the township board. Been retired much ever since. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Community Development. I have a Master of Science in Public Administration, and I'm just here to serve the community that I love and that I live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from any of the commissioners?
I just wanted to mention a conversation that Commissioner McConnell and I had kind of a sidebar recently about the concerns as we look to the revising of the master plan, concerns about affordability of housing in this community. And I thought that Commissioner McConnell had a fabulous idea about just digging into more information about specifically public servants in our community whose salaries maybe would not be able to afford living in even perhaps one of the duplexes, in the project that we were just listening to today. So I guess I just wanted to mention that as we move forward with the master plan, whatever we can do to be cognizant of just what that middle income looks like in this community and its far-ranging range. I should mention, I was looking at the township, different careers that are posted, and they do provide salaries. And let's see, a paramedic or firefighter would be hired in full-time at almost $50,000 a year, and then after 4 years, be making $68,000 a year, police officer at $52,000. And I just want to take a moment to compare that to what's publicly available for our teachers here in the Hazlet Public School District. I kind of have a keen eye towards that, being an educator myself, though not for Hazlet. And the starting salary for somebody on the first step, so first-year teacher graduating from college right now, is $37,664. So that's not a lot. And I just wanted to bring that, to the attention of the board, because our public servants are important and they should be able to afford to live in the community that they serve. And that's all I wanted to say.
Very good.
I don't know if you need a second for that.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Very good. Anything else from staff?
Can I just ask a question, actually?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for the master plan, as we move into that this year, is there, I'm just curious if you could talk through like the expectations in that process, and and maybe even map it out broadly. I know we're still a ways away from that, but like, I'm just thinking about scheduling and just thinking about my time commitments and how to map
Yeah.
out how to best be useful in that process.
So what I would suggest right now, so we've been slowly feeding the commission information since about October. So if you take a look at just about any packet we've put out, there's probably something towards the end about the master plan. We did an affordable housing white paper at one point. We've sent out copies of all the correspondence we've gotten from the public. We put out a paper on the urban service boundary and on the future land use map. I think those are the ones we've done so far. So the expectation that we would ask of the planning commission, and especially as we move into trying to finalize some goals and objectives, is provide us with your honest feedback about the language that's going into the document. If you have specific ideas that are not represented in there, let us know. Because we're going to do all the demographic background and the updating the maps and all that stuff. What we need is your honest feedback. We need you to tell other people to provide us with your honest feedback. Because there's really three pieces here that we need. It's important to get feedback on. There's goals and objectives, because that functionally guides us for the next 5 to 10 to 20 years. The actual future land use map that was spoken about earlier, because we kind of did a pretty major overhaul of that in 2017, we're not going to recommend any major changes to that, but there's a couple areas that we need the commission to make a recommendation on. And they're, kind of the usual suspects, right on the edge of, right in between developments, or right on the edge of one development, but before you get to a single family neighborhood of, what does that transition look like? The church is an excellent example of that, actually. And the third piece is the urban service boundary. We have one of the only urban service boundaries in the state, and I am of the opinion if you do not review it regularly, it opens us up to potential litigation. And so we need the feedback on that, and we will recommend should be likely a relatively minor change. The majority of it is pretty fine, but there are a couple spots where it cuts a property in half. Well, we kind of need to make a decision on that. Like, you can't have half of it in and half of it out. That's just going to cause us problems in the long run.
What's an urban service boundary?
So functionally what it is it is a map to the general public that outlines where the township would be, is willing to provide sewer and water to. That's at its base what it is. And so largely it, comes down from sort of the northeast corner of the township roughly, cuts down around by Hazlet High School, and then sort of heads south, does a couple jogs. And then when it gets to Grand River, most people would know where it is on the south side of Grand River. It kind of follows the development. And so everything to the east of that, there is no intention for the township to provide services. And it is intended to remain rural residential, sort of large lot development, if developed at all.
Is there any way so you mentioned several documents, and I'm curious, could you send those?
Absolutely. We will get those out to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say along those lines, I feel like we've had some really good discussion here as staff introduced the urban service boundary and showed us those little tricky bits in the future land use map. I feel like I don't have nearly the grasp of the affordable housing white paper, which I saw and skimmed, but I haven't really delved into. So I hope we can set aside time to really get our teeth into that question, because it's not an easy one. And if we can block out some time to work on that, that'd be great. Sure.
Is there, forgive my ignorance because I'm brand new, but is there a time frame for the master plan? Like when we're expected to be completed or have it finished?
So the state requires that every 5 years, you at least do a review. So that was 2022. So we started in 2022. So we're in alignment. And I said, there's not like a penalty. The problem becomes if we got sued and someone looked at our plan and it was 15 years old, well, we would not be in good shape then. And that's, the plan they updated in 2017 was much older. So we're back on schedule now. So we're doing what we consider to be a relatively minor update because, one, they just did a complete overhaul, and two, we had 2 years of COVID, so functionally we lost 36 to 40 months of any real development in the township. from staff's perspective, we laid out a roughly 6 to 9 month process starting in October to have the plan adopted. So that frankly, we don't get bogged down into some of this stuff, because we may get to the point in these conversations that affordable housing is still a very important topic. And so we put a pin in it, it becomes one of the main goals. And then we get the plan adopted and we circle back and start working on a housing plan. So that we can still get the bulk of the things out there and we can then focus on those important topics.
But the goal is to have us complete this master plan by July of this year?
Yeah, hopefully before, but that's the sort of the outside of what staff has recommended. And just one last piece I should add, the Planning Commission in Meridian Township is a recommending body. The Township Board is ultimately who adopts the plan, which is not always the case in other communities.
I just have 2 questions. One is, when we're asking questions, can we just jump in? Or do we need to
Technically, I'm supposed to approve you speaking,
Okay.
and also I'm supposed to state your name on the record so that
Zach really appreciates it when
Yeah.
you state your name on the
the
record.
person who's keeping track of what's going on knows who made what motion and who said what.
Okay.
Go ahead, you got another one.
Commissioner Brooks, my question is, so with the pandemic, so I know that 2017, so you're doing sort of a minor revisions hopefully, but with the pandemic and its alterations to sort of our general economy, is that factoring into your strategic planning?
I think you will likely see some language in the goals and objectives about kind of keeping up to speed on what COVID has done to us.
Yeah.
I don't think we know yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can certainly see what might be coming in some cases, but, we're slowly starting to see home building and commercial construction get back on track, and there's not as many, delays in the supply chain and things like that, but what does it look like for our office clients? And I don't think we have the answer yet. So yes, there will be some language in there to help us down the road when we know a little more of what's going on.
I just read an article in the New York Times today or yesterday, I forget now, that because of efforts to control inflation, banks are raising mortgage rates to the point where it's seriously affecting housing, residential values. There's been a nationwide drop in housing values or housing prices of 17% so far. So that's something else that will affect the growth of the township.
It's going to be an interesting couple of years.
Commissioner
I
Sanders?
wanted to also ask, as far as, I know that looking at the master plan this time around, it's just kind of minor revisions, is how I've understood it. I don't know if that's correct, I think it is. But I was wondering about the outreach to the community with the survey. It's just kind of open-ended, send us your thoughts. I was wondering if there's any plan to engage the community with maybe more specific questions, because I would imagine there are a lot of people who don't even really know or understand what a master plan is. Maybe so that we could get feedback that is more categorized, just data that's easier to read. It's just a lot of, what's the word? You're the data person. What type of data is that when people are writing paragraphs?
Qualitative.
Thank you. Not quantitative.
We can absolutely, yes. And if there are specific questions, we're happy to work with our communications team and try and get some more targeted information.
Yeah, I would be curious about what members of the community would like to prioritize.
So far, it's been a lot of parks. We get a lot of parks feedback for whatever reason. Parks Master Plan didn't get as much, we got it all.
Commissioner?
One more question, sir, or actually a request.
Yes, sir.
I'm hearing that there's a lot of discussion that has taken place previously on the current workings of the master plan. So that information would be recorded. Is there a way that maybe someone from your staff could just list the dates of the meetings where those discussions took place and get that to the new members? And we could just go right on the computer at our leisure and entertain the discussions and be better prepared to help facilitate the works of the master plan.
Absolutely. We will include that with the information we send out.
Thank you.
I would ask that you send it out to all commissioners. So that we don't have to go prospecting too.
I've only got one
Numbers are not
distribution.
that good.
I've only got one distribution list. So.
All right, thank you.
Anything further? Then I believe we're ready to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks, and welcome to our new members.
Thank you all very much.